Hey everybody, it's zjayfi. I'm back here talking about Gear 2.0. I think my last video went a little bit long, but I did get to some of the points that I wanted to make, which I'll start with a summation of my previous video, which is that after 6 weeks, I have come to the conclusion that I think Gear 2.0 is a little bit of a letdown, and I didn't want to just come out and say it right out. I wanted to give it the time. I wanted to max out some builds. I wanted to give it a chance to see what all it was capable of. And so this is a video series about me discussing what's wrong with Gear 2.0, but also what's right about Gear 2.0. Last time we talked about what's a few things that are right and a few things that are wrong. One of the things we talked about that's wrong is that it sort of it forces you to build monochromatically, meaning all one color, because all of your secondary attributes have to reinforce the core attribute. If they don't, you're just wasting your slots. Let's say I'll switch to one. Let's say all of these reds, my core attributes, were still there, but I was using something like this. I was using a hybrid. Well, putting skill haste and utility mod slots into a weapon damage build is throwing good after bad because I can't get any core attributes. I'm still going to have weak skills. Okay, I'm only using it to proc spark. That's correct, is all I'm using the skill for. So if I just need, all I need it to do is damage someone, if all I want is the 15% weapon damage, but if I want to have some haughty skills, some respectable skills that'll actually do some damage, you have to have skill tiers. Even if you stacked 90% extra skill damage, which is possible throughout your build, what would you really be looking at? What would you really be looking at? Okay, so it starts at 18,250. You add 90% to that, you'd be looking at about another 15,000. That's about 33,000 damage on my drone. What does the average enemy have in this game now? 10 million health? It's a drop in the bucket. The only way to increase the striker damage by any significant proportion is to increase the skill tier. So everything in my build that isn't red is a loss because I'll never be able to overcompensate this 60% crit chance and 180% crit hit damage. There's no way a drone could compensate for it unless I stacked into drone as my skill core attribute as my primary attribute, in which case it wouldn't make any sense to stack crit because I didn't have enough weapon damage. I mean, I guess you could stack this and then have no weapon damage. It's possible, but it wouldn't make any sense because I'm not reinforcing my primary core attribute. So that's one of my main problems, is that I believe that Gear 2.0 is kind of a dumbed down version of our previous gear system, our TU5, TU6, TU7 gear system, which was complicated, yet capable of making some really nasty hybrids and capable of making builds that didn't have very many compromises in them. You could stack several thousand skill power and still have weapon damage throughout, as well as some really interesting combinations of skills on your gloves and holster and knee pads, and you could really hit hard as well as have skill power and still even maybe have a slot or two of armor on your chest and your backpack. It was possible. No longer possible because it's not worth it. The jack of all trades meta, right, or jack of all trades right now is so weak because you'll be master of nothing. You won't be able to do anything well. Yet if you stack completely into one color, you can do it so well that it's almost indefeatable for a jack of all trades style build.
You are now group leader.
Somebody just jumped on me and they don't know I'm recording.
Your clan has joined your team.
All right, so what I do want to talk about is what's going on with the weapons. Now, weapons used to have holster talents. They don't have holster talents anymore. I honestly think these particular weapons are an improvement. I think this is one of the things that they got right in Gear 2.0. Now that we have 3 different roles, we can customize these weapons in a way that you couldn't before. These used to be talents. The attributes used to be talents, and now we have 2 core attributes. If you remember, you used to get 3 talents on your weapon. You used to get a holstered talent, an active talent, and then a primary talent. Now we just get a primary talent, but we also get what was the secondary talent on your attribute, and then you also get 2 core attributes. I think this is a big improvement. Most of the time, the holstered talents were not really strong anyway. Now the Eagle Bearer's 10% weapon damage while firing was one of the rare exceptions. But for the most part, I think the exotic reworks have been positive. Some of them have been taken down a little bit. The Chatterbox used to be a little bit stronger, I believe, but it's not bad. The Bullet King, I think, is absolutely a brilliant exotic. I wish I had a better one. I want to run for another one. But I think this is a really, really great idea right here. The Pestilence is totally OP right now. The Sweet Dreams melee attacks instantly kill non-elite enemies is fantastic. And even the Nemesis, I do actually miss the marker that it used to get for even more damage, but I can live with the way that the Nemesis has been remade. Now, things that have taken a bit of a hit are ARs. ARs are not nearly as viable as they used to be. And I think that's mostly because of their base damage, which runs about comparable with an LMG right now, except an LMG has a much deeper mag, and you can get LMGs with comparable rates of fire, and so there's just no reason not to go with an LMG right now. They're totally OP. ARs are pretty decent, so I don't think the weapon overhaul was all that bad. I think that's a pretty good improvement. Things I was talking about last time. Oh, yeah, one more thing I do want to say about the weapons. They might as well have got rid of all of these. There's nothing here. None of these are worth anything anymore. I never pull them out. The only reason we ever used these was for their holster talent, and now that they don't have a holster talent, they're completely pointless. I've never run out of ammo. Even if I did run out of ammo, I will go find some ammo. I will not pull out my sidearm. Some of these are pretty cool, and I would like to use these. There's just no reason to, because none of them are anywhere near what they should be. The Liberty is not really viable either. Yeah, so they need to take a look at this category and figure out how they can make it somewhat worthwhile, because right now there's no need for it to even be here. At least it was a holster talent slot for a while. The grenades. I love the way the new meta requires you to kind of take a peek at some of these specialty grenades. Some of the enemies are so OP now that it's beneficial to foam them in place. These fire grenades have always been powerful, but now they're almost essential for some very, very hard missions. I love the EMP grenades. I like the cluster bomb grenades, and I've always liked the blinder grenades. So that's all good there. I don't particularly like that they have reduced the damage against named enemies on all specializations, but I get it. The TAC 50 used to be so strong that it was ridiculous. Now they've kind of nerfed it a little bit. That's fine. We have the M1A, does pretty much the same thing, just takes more bullets to get there. The crossbow is still very, very, very strong. 4 million damage per crossbow shot, especially if you're using a tip of the spear backpack with 4-piece tip of the spear. You can get basically unlimited crossbow bolts. I don't have that on this character, but definitely enjoyed it. And that's another thing that I want to talk about is gear sets. And unfortunately, I'm out of time for this second video, but next time we will talk about gear sets and how, with the exception of hardwired and tip of the spear, they are all essentially useless. That is not true. I forgot to mention system corruption does have its place in a DZ PvP build. But we'll have to talk about it next time. I'm out of time. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think about the new Gear 2.0? I'm finally just starting to coalesce my thoughts, because like I said, I wanted to give it time before I just jumped in and started saying, oh, Gear 2.0 is great, it's fantastic, or Gear 2.0 is trash. I really wanted to give it a chance. I wanted to learn it in and out, figure out how exactly it worked. Now, I'm not saying it's all bad. Not saying it's all good, because it's not all good. I think honestly it is a step down as far as the intricacy and the uh, interlocking puzzle that it used to be. You used to really have to try and work on things and grind for the right piece with the right rolls in the right places. And now, since you're only stacking one color, sooner or later you're going to come across the piece that you want. It's just a matter of time. So leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Have a great night.